Ay, Dios mío. And we are live.
My timing is off today.
Oh, no, I love it. I love it. We are so real and raw today. It's going to be a real raw and jamming conversation with the one and only. I'm Lynn Serrano, but this is the one and only Brian Kelm. We'll
And,
be
and
right
we're
back.
jamming. We're jamming today.
We're jamming. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back.
I don't think we've ever used jamming ever or jamming
Well,
ever.
and I was gonna say, welcome back to the real facts of life with the real and Rob Brian, because I just love Brian so much. We're I think we're going in our third year. Actually, before too long, is going in the fourth year. But that's just crazy. It's just time flies. But what's really cool is we've just so much evolved in what we're personally doing and then what we're doing together that it's so great that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing this on Mondays, so we're busy on the weekends and so many different things that I said, hey, I'm going to see you. We're going to like talk for real what's going on in each other's life and where we're at with everything. And so I'm just like, this is how Brian and I are like when we're backstage talking. And so we're going to have one of our real personal conversations like really online right now.
Yeah.
Which is a freaking amazing because I love these kind of conversations when we get into it. So and so I wanted to start out real quick because I saw your post that you got to talk with Randy and of
Yeah.
course and Michelle.
Michelle's here.
I love this picture because I'm getting to know Michelle a little bit and I met her through you,
Yeah.
and it just makes my heart just shine and beam because she's got her prodigy right there. Like that's a beautiful picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just,
She's an awesome photographer. I've never had the ability to work with her for weddings because that's not her zone of
niche.
genius. She does a lot of sporting
Listen to it. That's
photography.
my boy. I
But
love that. I
yeah,
love that. And
the
that's a
beaver named
beautiful
Golden
picture.
Beavers.
Beautiful
Woo!
picture. It just makes my heart happy for you. That's all I got to say. And hold on to those memories because they grow up so fast. They
Oh,
grow
yeah.
up so fast. My youngest baby just turned 29. That's all I'm going to say there. And then we got the beautiful one and only Mary Kay.
Maddie K.
And you are huggable. And so yeah, I want to just say that it's so good and it's so cool to see us collaborating with other people that are out there doing great things in the world. She said thank you every game we do a
Yeah.
selfie together. Yep. And I have a selfie with my grandson. I got to finally go see one of his football games, and that's just amazing to me. And I'm about that tiny next to my 14-year-old grandson. It's like, man. So and it's really cool. We'll someday have this clip up there and he'll be like in NFL and say, remember when?
Yeah. Well, and you touch on something that it's I know offline. I post stuff every day because my life is not about me. Um, Shout out to one of my mentors and longtime friends, Bill. Um, he's been an actor since the age of 4,
Uh-huh.
and he's very humble. He's kind of like that uncle, where you just gotta love him, right? He's got that personality style, but he's the type of guy that no matter what space you're in, he'll make it better. And we all are in different places of our lives, right? It doesn't matter our age, it doesn't matter our intelligence, any of that. But we all, if I remember what Brian Dodge once said, he's a motivational speaker. He said, "We are either in crisis, we are either in crisis or out of crisis at all times of our lives. So if you're not in one now, you got one coming." And
Right.
how we deal with that, depending on our DNA and how we cope with stuff, we're all dealing with something. It's just a matter of when somebody's going to say something that resonates with us. And I think that I posted something a day or two ago that really, I think it was today, that resonated with Michelle. And it's like, there's nothing greater because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing
Right.
it for other people. I'm doing it to be a contribution. And it's so cool how we can do that for each other.
And you know what I do love about that, and I've gotten out of doing it, but I'm going to get back into it, is when it is placed on your heart to put something out there. And when you do that, you didn't realize you did that because someone else needed you to do that. And
Right.
and it does touch your heart when you know that it was placed on yourself to put it out there because it was meant to touch
Well,
somebody else.
well, and there's also something to be said is that, I do this, the full transparency, I do it this to get over my own stuff.
Right,
Right.
absolutely. It's a note to self,
Yeah, where
you
it's
know?
just like I'm going through junk just like the other person. But with my
Absolutely.
anxiety and depression, it's like, okay, what's one of the best ways to overcome your crap? Do something for somebody else.
Right.
And but the distinction is, number one, you're doing it for nothing other than to share. Number two is you have to get something from it, but it also needs to be done consistently if it's going to matter. Because
Yeah.
in a while is okay, but you show up every day. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what mindset you're in. You do it no matter what. That's when it really turns into something that and people perceive you different. They perceive
Yeah.
as like-minded versus like, okay, this person has potential, but it's kind of hit or miss versus like every
Yeah.
day I can count on this person to show up for me.
Yeah. Well, it's
You know?
funny you say that because well, not everyone, I shouldn't say that, but quite a few people around the world do know me and know me that I dabble into producing and doing shows all around the world and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I've hit it for long enough, but not I don't like being on the camera by myself. I just don't.
Right. Right.
And so I did a reel today and I'm like, I gotta be real on the reels and I gotta do more of those, especially by myself. And so and I'm getting a new podcast that's gonna be Lynn's BS, and it's the bright side of things. So I will
Right.
have guests on that show, but I always look for the bright side of things. And so and Mary Kay says, getting over our crap while helping others. Yep. Craptastic. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I want to share most of the, on the bright side, the Lynn's BS is the, calling out the BS, the bright side of the bullshit that we do go through in
Right.
life, because sometimes we always are talking about the negative of stuff, but we don't spend enough time about say, okay, the BS has to happen, but there's always bright side of everything that we went through. There's always the bright side. And you talk about stuff that happened 20 years ago, but what
Yep.
was the fruit or the seed from that actually the fruition, that came out of that?
And
And
there
so that's what I want to really get to the core.
and there's only and to be self-expressed where you just tell it like it is, you have a point of view, you have a voice. And I really think that's what came out of the conversation with Randy this morning, is that it's like you shape yourself into a person where you're not comfortable with where stuff is at in your industry, who you can be, and you keep testing those waters. You know, the people that the people that were once your friends may be your friends, but eventually you drift away into a new group of people. Now,
Right.
here's the thing. You're not making anybody wrong along the way. You just are called to somewhere else. And I don't want to get woo woo, but you're
Right.
called to be somewhere else that you're not firm. You're uncomfortable. You want to be uncomfortable, that it's like, I'm not going to settle that this is where I'm at. I'm not going to settle that this is where my industry's at. I'm not going to settle where this is all I get to choose from in my life and in my world. And I'm going to pursue something else.
And I heard something yesterday that really was profound to me, Brian, and it was the words of silence is acceptance. Like people that I've never
Oh, yeah.
heard that saying.
Yep.
Have you? I was like,
I have.
oh,
Yep. Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, smack. I'm like, that really smacked me in the face. Um, and I think because I've been in domestic violence and I've had depression and all these things, I've had to survive my mentality by just, not going against the resistance sometime and just having my own personal peace, like not watching news and things like that.
Right.
But when I realize silence is accepting, I'm like, I'm not freaking accepting what I see. I'm like, and I've podcast long enough. I'm like, I'm really, but the thing is like, I've also knowing to be an interviewer, you can't also like always be one to show your side. You have to be diplomatic. You have to like, be all in fairness. And I believe everybody should have a voice and everybody
Yep.
perspective should be seen. And then the viewer should pick their own side. I still believe as a podcaster to do it that way,
Yep.
and I like leaving the mystique of who or what my thoughts are. I still like doing that. But on the other side, in reels and things like that, I should share for those that want to know a little bit more about me, I should be vulnerable on that, and I do share my other thoughts, but the silence is acceptance. Oh, it hit me to the core to say, "Oh no, I need to maybe take little stances on things that I really have." I wouldn't say I've downplayed like domestic violence or this or that or depression or mental, and but the thing is that I don't live there, and I'm better for those things. But we have a choice, right? We can either talk about happy things or sad things. Sad things don't help me, happy things help me to get out of my depression. So it's just a bouncy situation. And yet there's people that if you say you have depression, they run the other way or they don't understand it. Or just like, people that are either sober or fighting alcoholism. I mean, it's
Well,
just, it's, it's, go ahead.
there are two different ways that you can handle anything in this world. Number one, you can let it build up inside and just eat you alive, kind of like a boiling pot, right?
Right.
It's been there all along, but then you give it a little extra fire, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it boils over, and you don't even remember the root of why it boiled over. It's kind of like every single thing just attached to, hey, Chip, right? Yeah,
Yeah, Chip, it's been a while since we've seen Chip.
is
Nice to see you.
is that it'll boil over, but number one, you probably lash out at somebody, without expecting to,
Right.
because it's just a natural reaction, or you're actually going to flush it out before it ever becomes an issue.
That's true.
And what I realize is that you can either choose not to be vulnerable, you can be vulnerable, but vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. And we
Right.
all have it, but it's just a matter of if we actually use it, right? Now that might go
Ooh.
against how people are programmed in this world, but also though being vulnerable, it doesn't get any better than that, because we're all human beings. We all make
Right.
mistakes. We all have, we all fall into similar patterns.
Right.
But also, though, one of the most gratifying things in the world is that if you can turn on the camera, share a message, it's just your point of view. You're not trying to sway anybody. You're not
Right.
trying to move. If anything, you're trying to share a compelling message
Right.
that hopefully what's being shared, you can see my heart and you can see my authenticity. But I'm not trying to get you to take on a point of view. I'm not trying to get you to win to my argument or any of that. I'm just sharing what's there for me. And the beautiful part is when somebody leans into what that is, and they do it in a natural way. Somebody's
Right.
just sharing a point of view. You either agree with it or you don't. But why does it have to be this tension, or why does there have to be friction? It's just,
Right.
I have a voice. I'm choosing to share it. If you don't like it, that's okay. But just
Right.
disregard it. There's no need to make somebody wrong.
I think, yeah, I love how you said that. And I think the best thing that ever worked or best thing for me was the 4 agreements. When
Yeah.
I realized that other people were mad, they weren't not taking things personal, that they were mad because they went through something.
Right.
And I didn't realize that I triggered something in them that reminded them of something else.
Correct.
When you can realize those things, makes you have compassion for that person, and realizing the triggers you have. And I mean, when we didn't realize, not knowing that I had post-traumatic distress disorder and didn't realize people were triggering me,
Mhm.
because I thought it was them. I didn't realize it was me that had the triggers. I mean, till you realize these things, you don't know a problem is even there, and then you realize, when you there's a certain person you don't like, and then people say, well, that's because that's within you. You're like, but that can't be. But when you can admit that and you can see that, then you realize, well, I got to be nicer to that
Well,
person, because you got to be nicer to yourself. And I
in
mean, it's hard for people to
yeah.
understand that, but
Well, and just by the example you give, there's two trains of thought there. Number one, eh, are you getting restless because the person is bringing up something that you haven't completed in your life, or is it because what they're saying is upsetting you? There's a
right,
distinction there, because
right,
more than likely, if you're uncomfortable, now obviously we need a specific situation. But
right,
if you're not ready to talk to us about something that might have happened to you, that's on you. That's not on the person.
right,
And I think a lot of people just want to make somebody wrong because they're like, oh, this is too close for comfort. Why are we talking about this? Well, you're attaching yourself that this is about you instead of this person just sharing.
right.
And there's a distinction there. You're taking it personal. This other person's just talking about it.
Exactly. And that's why that's a great little book, 4 Agreements.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
great little book that, slice and dice that all year long and realize that there's, the perspective in that is just amazing, and life can be so much better just in that alone.
Right.
And
You know,
yeah.
and I think too much of our society is like when you say that you're going to start a podcast or you're going to start something, it's like, okay, initially, you're going to think that everybody's against you. No, that's really not the proper thinking, right?
No.
Is that and no matter where you are in life, you're always going to have people that are naysayers, people that want to bring you down. It's kind of like the crabs in a bucket or whatever, right?
Yes.
Once the one crab sees that there's no top on it, he sees a loophole that maybe others, and then they try to drag him down. Well, if you're looking to get agreement from everybody in your life, good luck with that. You're not going to start anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But you have to give up the fact that that you even want agreement or you're even
Right.
seeking it. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, and that's why I laugh. I was like, well, shoot, I'm just, now I just got to sit down, create my the only thing I got to do is create the banner and
yeah.
my creative thing, and I'm like, I'm good with that. I just haven't sat down to do that. I'm like, I don't care what anybody else says. I've planted the seeds. People know I'm going to start it. I'll get my own guests, and I love it because I've gotten into the doing my other shows, but I'm like, no, I gotta get my muscles going and doing my other things and creative and bringing different thoughts to this new baby that I'm bringing to the fold. And I've been reverse engineering where my station and where everything's going, and I see that vision, and I'm
Yeah.
excited because of the people that I'm connected to and that the bonds that I have, and the good people, because we need to start this new form of people knowing that there are new people up and rising that come from a good place, that have been giving good content for a while, that are
Right.
out there, and it's just not your same people collecting the same money
Well, and
and things like that.
I've never been a person of metrics, numbers, any of that. It's the message.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is there value in the content? Is it something that can help somebody? What are we
Yep.
doing it for? We're not doing it for dollars. Tell me that.
No.
We're
Heck
not doing it
no.
because we're getting paid behind the scenes. No.
No. No, and not at
And I
all.
think that everybody's free to have their metrics of whatever that is, but that's never been my thing. It's always
Yeah.
been about how much, are you a real person?
Yep.
Are you vulnerable to certain things? Do you behave differently for certain audiences, or are you the same person throughout? A
Right.
lot of that can just be observed. You don't even have to know people in order to, conclude that.
Right.
And it's like, but also though, it's like somebody's dedication to put in
Oh,
hundreds of hours of shows, to put in hundreds of hours of shows, that's undeniable. You may
right.
not like their message, but there is no way in heck that somebody that really was not believing in what they're doing or that it mattered would continue to do it for hundreds of episodes. There's just no way. They would give up very quickly.
Sorry, just some of my regular people forget I'm live, man. I'm live.
We're
Well,
glad, Michelle, we're glad that we've been helpful to you. And
yes,
it's always great to have you here and have you
ab
comment on our show.
absolutely. We do this because we do love it. And
Uh,
at this point, we don't even pick topics. It's like at this point, we want to know who's coming on. Your vibe gives us our vibe.
right.
We love it. I mean, we love being unscripted. We love coming here and just
But
giving what
also,
we got.
though, in the world that we live in today, you touch on a good point, is that a lot of us are secluded. A lot of
Yeah,
us have our routines. A lot of us have, the times that we have free of children or free of responsibility to do what we want. And we try to have that be a safe haven or a place where we can just ground ourselves,
right,
right? And
right,
everybody's at a different place in their life, but there's one thing that everybody needs is a point of view.
right,
They need relatedness. They need community,
right,
and however they find that is however they find it. But it's like, and that just goes to show that content is important, but how much you care,
right.
how much you want to make a difference, how lighthearted you want to appear. It goes much deeper than just the content. The content gets
Absolutely.
people here and keeps everybody coming back, but as I mentioned before, we're not getting paid for this.
Right, right. And I
you
think by
know
Christmas time, you guys are going to get a dump load of real and raw Christmas, like the year, 3 years, all in
wow.
the works. So it's really exciting. And there's a lot of podcasters out there that put their content like every week and whatever. And if you look at their list, they only got a few things up there. And that's what we have right now. But all of a sudden, one day you're going to go to our podcast list and say, holy cow, there's everything. It's like the Netflix binge. But look at even Netflix, what they do now. They'll put a series up there. They'll put 4 or 5. And then they say, oh, you got to wait a week to come back for the others. Yep. I was like, oh no, I'm going to be slicker than that. I'm just going to do like, there's going to be so much up there that you guys are you're going to, look for the updates, but they're going to be so much backdated. You're going to be years behind before you're forward,
It brings up a good point too, is that we're not here to waste anybody's time. We want to make sure that it's as valuable as possible, but even showing up randomly, what does Michelle say? Or you get one free and then have to, they give you a little teaser. Is that it's like, okay, we have to prove ourselves enough to be worthy of your time, right? And then hopefully there's something valuable in there. But if we don't put it out there in the title of what we're going to talk about, it's just how the randomness and just how organic, unorthodox we are. That's nuggets. Entertaining to some people.
Yeah, nuggets are in there, man.
Yeah, there's stuff in there, but you got to go through them because they're going to come out of our mouth at any given time. It's just a matter of like, the light bulb goes off for this, and then here, and then there, and then you put it all together.
I think when we this is my adult time. I love it. When we're on it. I think when I do show clips and stuff, we should be mean and say, I don't know what day that was, but it was in the year something, in the year 2000 and something.
Yeah, it's when I had orange hair. Hair.
I know you're and I can attest there is no red hair. It's just always been the lighting. It's the trickery of his lighting.
Call a lighting guy, could you?
Yeah, I know. We've been under budget for that. If anything, with the stars, you guys can send some money, and we'll try to get some lighting for Brian.
I got a little ring light right here that's barely got enough electricity.
Well, you know what? Out of budget now. No, so we're out of time, Brian. Is there any final words on our just mishmash? I mean, I just love that we could have gone and talked for days here, as always. We get together.
My biggest thing would be is that if overthinking. We overthink about how we need to show up, how we need to appear, and that's all within our self-limiting beliefs. And trust me, as those words come out of my mouth, I'm a student of that as well. Right? I'm not absent from that at all. But we take ourselves way too seriously. I know this is especially true when it comes like a week of a wedding or a corporate event. I take myself way too seriously. But also, though, I know what grounds us, though, is just showing up as we are. You either like us or you don't.
Right.
And there's nothing more that you can give the world is just being yourself, because there's been a lot of quotes out there like 100% of yourself versus 1% of somebody else. This life is way too damn short for us to worry about the novelty stuff that may or may not ever happen. But just to show up and talk with everybody, absolutely. I overthink about overthinking.
Well,
and where does it get us? Where does it get us?
I was thinking, shit. I was like, damn it, Brian. I was like, there's no topic. I said, you know what, Brian? I'm going to see you tomorrow and we're going to catch up, and that's what we're going to do. And he's like, okay, Lynn, that sounds like a great idea. Because sometimes I do stress about what topic. I'm like, you know what? I'm posting the show. TBA sounds good, to be announced. We're showing up. That's the most important thing, because when we don't show up, that's when they're sad. So we're going to show up. We're going to talk. And that's what I've learned. And I do appreciate when I get those messages from you guys and you say, you know what? That's the most important show and we like it. And why aren't you there? And
that goes right here.
I know, right? So it's like we're showing up.
And I think too, there's a lot to be said for that. It's like, okay, the more I think about it, it's like, okay, when you get together with somebody for coffee, you don't message them in advance to be like, what do you want to talk about when we get together tomorrow? You don't do that to somebody that you're connected with or that you know. No. You just go wherever it is, and that's the adventure.
Well, look at the radio shows, DJs and stuff. They don't say, well, tomorrow we're going to talk about this. Nope, sorry, no show today because we didn't know what we talk about. They talk about the things that happen on their way to the show. So we're not.
Where do you
And
think some of the best stuff that comes from comedians? It's about their
yeah,
experiences of like going through an airport or bad, service they had at a restaurant or whatever,
yeah.
You're a great
So
role models always showing up in real.
th-
Oh, Mary Kay. That's very
thank
nice.
you. Well, and that's the thing. I was like, you know what? We love doing the show. We do love showing up. We don't
Yeah.
ever really talk about the show beforehand. So it's like, you know what, Brian? I'm just gonna see you here Monday. Okay? Is that good?
Yeah.
We're
We
gonna
don't
see
got
you.
we don't got budget for preliminary preparation stuff. We don't got a budget for that.
Wish you
I
were.
wish you were on more. Yeah.
You see, that's what I've been hearing too. So, maybe if we don't have to worry about the topics, Brian, we might have to find another time slot during the week to say, how was the beginning of the week? How
And
was the
Michelle, is
end?
it okay if we waste your adult time? Is that okay if we do some more of that?
Well, you know what, Brian? Maybe we'll have
Uh,
that. You see, this is what we do during our time together. Maybe we'll have to slide in another day of the week for real and raw, and and
do that.
and maybe evaluate what. Look at most definitely. Well,
Look at her anytime. She got all caps going on here and exclamation
and
points.
I know Ricky would be the same. So I mean,
Uh,
shoot, we get three in a quorum. Is that what they say for them?
mm.
And then you have a
I think we would need some like round robin, like fast pace, or like quick questions, like tap into Lynn and Brian's brain, and then do some really cool uh,
yeah, yeah,
graphic of it, like where we open up our heads and it's what we're thinking and all this. Like that'd
yeah,
be cool.
yeah. Yeah, some graphics and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I that might be a good consideration, especially when some new software is going to come up to talk about past shows, and we'd be like, especially when we got enough to say, what were we thinking then, and what are
Yeah.
we thinking now?
Well, and I think too with our improv backgrounds, I think it'd be um, uh, it would be a handicap to all of our audience to not use that or to not make it fun in our own way.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I think we're deciding that we may start out the week and we may end out the week with a quick little something something.
Either that or a
We
pop up somewhere. Like you just
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Got to keep you
Yeah.
on edge.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to really consider this, especially with me throwing in the Lynn's BS.
Right.
I don't know how long that show's going to go for or whatever, but this is the great thing about doing shows and producing shows. You can make them do whatever you want to do. That's all that matters, is just starting them and doing them, and you learn as you go.
And I
That's with
think too
anything.
is that the topics that we talk about are ones that there's not going to be any answers anytime soon, but
Yeah.
everybody's marinating what they know about it at that given time.
Right,
You
absolutely.
know,
And
is that
and
everybody's journey is different, but it's like where you are on that journey to get you to the next rung of the ladder, the next, or even get through the day for that matter.
right. Well, one thing I love about the people that watch us, and I know about you and I, is we do stay open-minded
Oh, yeah.
to grow and to see if how we feel about that, if still the same flavor or not, if that
Right.
still resonates with you or not.
Yeah.
And I think that would be cool about watching an old video from something before that we talked about, and if that's still how we feel about it or not.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool. So Brian, now we're way out of here.
Yeah. We gotta go. We gotta
Yeah, we gotta
go.
go. I know you're super busy. So thank you
Yeah.
as always, Brian. I love you so much. I think we
Likewise.
we accomplished a lot, and I'm glad our viewers got to hear us banter about it.
In a
And
random way.
yeah. Well, Michelle, you keep going and keep posting. Keep that profile picture. That picture makes me so happy. It
Yeah.
really does. Really
We're
does.
grateful for your adult time is spent with us, Michelle. It's great.
Yes. Now go keep adulting, and we'll catch up with you later. All right. Love you guys. Love you,
See you
Brian.
next week. Love you too, Lynn. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.